Welcome to Channel AMAC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about migrate to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on the little bell on the side, so once we have all the updates and news, you'll be the first one of getting all the insight. Now, if you really like our channel and also our contents, why don't you provide a little bit of sponsorship on just pressing on the super chat in sponsoring our channel, so all these funds will actually produce for all these quality contents. Now obviously you have read the title and you click the thumbnail and got into this video today. Now we are not here to update any of the policy, but obviously we have seen what New South Wales has provided with their new skill occupation list, with the EOI requirement of the points 100 plus or perhaps 90 for a lot of a lot of commonly known occupations, for example ICT, accountants and things, engineer as well. Now in this video we would like to calculate point by point how you can actually get that 100 points, and if that is not, well, if that is unrealistic or is not realistic, at the end of this video I'll provide some options for you perhaps. Okay, now let's obviously you have watched my channel and that video previously. It was a joke and it was crazy. I mean, didn't the federal government raise the migration cap from 160,000 to 195,000 and increasing all the quota for all the state and territory sponsorship? Now why did New South Wales do this? Now obviously my answer to this is, well, they still want skilled migrant, but not going to Sydney, perhaps not New South Wales. Well, you may want to choose other states perhaps. But anyway, let's have a look and let's calculate how you can actually get 100 points. All right. Now you may want to refer back to the New South Wales government's website on the visa and migration page. Now previously they have not updated. They try to hide and make that list hidden. However, obviously we have been in the industry long enough to actually gut it out. So a lot of people say, well, but that's not on the actual publicized web page on the New South Wales migration website. Now it's official, so if you scroll down and you see New South Wales skill occupation list, now you may notice some changes. It was called skills lists, now they call them skill occupation list officially, and which is just well, I don't want to say the word, but still it's just stupid anyway. Okay, now once you click in there, you will be led to this web page, and it's still called New South Wales skills list. Now I don't know why they wanted to differentiate skill occupation lists and skills list. Now whatever they called it, it's the same, it's just the list of occupations. Now the contents here is exactly the same as the previous video that I have shown you. So if you can see, finance manager with 110 and some 110 points, and the engineer with 100 points, and the ICT with 100 points also. So today the video that we're gonna do is we are technically physically going into the immigration website to the SkillSelect points table and see how we can actually get that 100 points. Okay, so you may want to do a Google search, and all you need to do is you punch in Home Affairs space 189 and you may find the points table here. Now if we want to get that 100 points, it's actually quite hard. Now you have to be with the mentality of Avengers perhaps. You need to get 100 points, you need to become perfect. Now how are you gonna do that? Let's have a look. Okay, first of all, you need to be reaching the highest point of each section. Now that is extremely hard, because first of all, if you just graduated perhaps with a bachelor or master, and you're less than 25 years of age, you cannot get that to the top age. Well, anyway, you get that post-study work right visa anyway, so you can wait until you reach 25, so you get that maximum 30 points. So if you're too young, you cannot make it. You need to be in the range of 25 and 33. Now if you're too old, you get to this point, perhaps you may not even reach that 100 point as well. So this is really ridiculous. I mean, why would they make things like this? But anyway, let's continue. So you got 30 points on age, and you need to get that superior English, which is equivalent to IELTS 8 across 4 bands. 20 points plus 30 points. Now we got 50 points. Now we're just halfway from getting 100 points. You see, that's the crazy part. Now, even if you get the age right, you get the English right, you're only halfway to reach that 100 points. Now, I'm not gonna talk about the skill or employment experiences as far yet, but let's continue to go down and we come back to the work experiences. Now, most of the people will actually get bachelor or master. Now to get to doctoral, well, obviously you will have no problem because you will get maximum points there. But I will choose bachelor and master, not even the master by research. So you get that 15 point. Now that's 65. Now you meet the minimum until now. Okay. Now what you got to do, and I will not talk about special education qualification because that's gonna get you into a master by research or doctoral research, and in those science and the STEM majors, which a lot of people might not be in there too. But if we add that 5 points to the Australian study requirement, that's 2 years of study. So you get that additional 15 and the 5 points, so that 20 points add to the 65 points. What do we get there? 85. Now we're getting 85. We're 15 short. How do you actually get that 15 points? Perhaps you get into professional year, another 5 points. That's after you graduate, you get your PSW visa, and you get that credential language with the NATI thing that you need to enroll and get that tested, and perhaps you will study in regional Australia. So for example, so this is where it doesn't make any sense, because if you study those courses in New South Wales, basically that cut you out from regional Australia. The only places that you might want to be in will be Newcastle, but the problem here is then that cut you out a lot of options and the good university that you're supposed to be in there. So that is the problem. And the partner, let's just say you're single, you get that 10 points. So see the here, if you want to get that 100 points, it's actually extremely hard. Now, if you are the age over 33 or a little bit younger, you probably cannot actually meet in this scenario. Then you need to be, get that PSW visa and work for at least 1 year. Now, that 1 year has to be after skill assessment. So, for example, if you're an accountant, okay, you need to graduate, get an IELTS 7, but in our scenario, you need to get 8. And then you get into professional year. So after that professional year, you get full skill assessment. And once that's done, you need to continue work as an accountant for additional 12 months to actually get that 5 points, which is the minimum requirement for New South Wales as well. So you see how hard it is. It's almost impossible for a person to actually get those kind of criteria. Now, I'm not talking about accountant and finance manager. They get 110 points. Obviously, there is additional 5 points for 190. But again, you need to achieve academically near perfections in this SkillSelect system, which, well, from what I see, it's just basically too hard. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to suggest other options. So if New South Wales has planned with this kind of skill occupation list, which doesn't even make any sense. Now, I haven't even talked about the chef and cook and the mechanic, where they require what, 80 points or 90 points, which is seemingly impossible. How do you expect a tradesperson to have a perfection in English language, which just doesn't make any sense? They are really cutting themselves out from the skill migration part. Now, I think New South Wales, perhaps they will focus on more on the business and innovation, but not truly on the skill migration. And that will also affect the international student number. So if you really wanted to come to Australia to study, and perhaps to have that option to migrate in the future, probably New South Wales or Sydney will not be a wise choice. Now, what I'm going to suggest is perhaps you should look at migrate to Queensland, Brisbane. Now, obviously, Brisbane is not regional Australia, but there is a lot of other choices and options in Toowoomba, in Gold Coast, in Sunshine Coast, even go up to Townsville, Rockhampton, and Cairns. There's a lot of options in Queensland, and the Queensland has also provided their criteria for state nomination, which has lowered a little bit, but not enough from what I can feel. But if you study trades, they can accept you with IELTS 6. Otherwise, you need to get IELTS 7, which is fine. I mean, compared to New South Wales, you need to get IELTS 8. If you don't have 8, you probably can't even get those points, right? And why not choosing South Australia as well? Now, obviously, South Australia has provided their updated criteria, which is a little bit harder than previous, but it's still fair and sound. It's not as strict and high required as New South Wales. And obviously, we're talking about the Victorians, the state criteria, which currently has really no criteria. They are actually meeting what the federal government is required with the limited and minimal standards. So let's summarize our video today. Now, it's a short video. It's a summarize how we have obviously have gone through a month of all the state and territories criteria where they have announced. Now, obviously, 2 or 3 days ago, we have seen the New South Wales skills list. So my suggestion, if you want to study and migrate with skill, perhaps you can choose South Australia, Victoria, and Queensland. Now, obviously, South Australia, you get that advantage of being in regional Australia, but with the new criteria has just been shifted around, Victoria and Brisbane, I mean Melbourne and Brisbane has actually come much brighter and better choice if you are to meet those criteria requirement. Now, bear in mind, despite that, Victoria has limited lowered their criteria to the very minimal and limited standards. It's still very competitive. Now, during the past 2 weeks, we have received a lot of comments, and also we are experiencing how the Victorian government has actually inviting people due to the number of competitiveness. It's still quite competitive. I think you need to actually get EOI. I have that feeling about 75 to 80 points in order to actually get picked up and invited by Victoria. But still, that's fair compared to 100 points in New South Wales, 90 points for trades. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. So I strongly suggest, if you want to study and migrate, Victoria and Queensland might be the best choice for 2022 and 23. Anyway, should you have more question, query, more than welcome to leave comment right down below, and I'll see you next video. Goodbye.